Hi, my name is Hannah Simmons, and I am going to be talking today about family play therapy or trauma play therapy. The reason why I first got interested in this is I am familiar with a girl who was very young when her sister passed away, um, and that created a lot of trauma for her, as you can imagine, and her family put her in play therapy, and it's been a tremendous help. So, a little background with play therapy. There were several psychologists that helped build it into what it is today, including Freud, Klein, Exline, and Rogers. Um, in 1982, the Association for Play Therapy was launched, so it's still a pretty new thing within the last 40 years. Um, and it's based on a person centered approach of Carl Rogers that he came up with. It's kind of based off of his theory. And play therapy uses play and creative activities to help kids express their emotions and feelings to help them process trauma or other difficult things in life. Kids can't really find the words to express how they're feeling the way that adults can, so they express themselves through play. Just like adults talk through their feelings, kids express themselves and work through their feelings through play. Think like playing house as a child or dollhouse, working out those real life situations. That's kind of an example of play therapy. This quote says the symbolic and role play activities associated with play therapy help move the traumatic experiences from the nonverbal brain to the frontal lobe. So it just helps them process it into words and being able to label those feelings. Play therapy can help with divorce, grief, illness, bullying, emotional and physical abuse, autism, ADHD, anxiety, regulating behaviors, and trauma. Some tools that are used in play therapy are dollhouses, sandbox, figurines, art materials, stuffed animals, dolls, role play, music, and dance. It's really just whatever the child wants to do. The therapist will kind of have an idea of what they want to talk about or role play before going into the session and help the child pick out toys and things based on that. This therapist, this play therapist, she is talking about a little boy who had a extremely traumatic experience. He witnessed a very traumatic event. So he came in to do play therapy with her, and this is her talking about her experience with him.
So when he first comes to my playroom, he goes directly over to the red finger paint and he mucks around in it. And then he goes over to my water source and he washes his hands. And then he goes over to the red Play-Doh and he mucks around in it. And he goes over to the water source and he washes his hands. These are called cleansing rituals in trauma play, and we see it when children have a full body dirtying experience from their trauma. They then need a full body kinesthetic experience of being cleansed from trauma. I could tell you more about Bobby's play process. It was pretty amazing. When he became more regulated and I could give a more directive prompt, I invited him to choose from the miniatures on the wall a toy to be his mom. And he chose a nicely dressed woman with a cake, pretty nurturing. I invited him to go and choose a toy to be himself, and he chose a disproportionately small naked baby, which I think shows the vulnerability and the chaos of the aftermath of the bathroom. And then I said, go and choose a toy to be dad. And he gets all the way over to the shelves, and he turns to me and he says, Miss Pewith, can I choose more than one? And I said, you can do whatever you need to do in here, which is my standard response. And he chose 3. He chose a giant aggressive wrestling figure, a little nondescript kind of wimpy character, and Prince Charming. What is that? It's the domestic violence cycle. It's what I went to graduate school to learn about. It's what we see on the billboards on the side of the road.
Okay, so she kind of talks about that experience with the little boy of washing his hands and then going to pick out the figurines to represent the people who were involved in that traumatic event. So this is just a slight glimpse into what play therapy entails. Lastly, there was a study done about play therapy and how it affects kids with ADHD. It included 29 children between 5 and 11 years old with an official ADHD diagnosis. The first group received 1 hour of play therapy per week for 10 weeks, and the other group was on a wait list, so they didn't get therapy in those 10 weeks. And after the 10-week therapy intervention, the group that had the play therapy did show improvements. Their teachers noticed, their parents noticed, and those around the children did say that they would recommend it for kids with ADHD. Sources, and yeah, that's about it. If you know any kids in your life who have experienced really anything hard, any hardship, definitely think it's worth looking into play therapy.